This is 95.3 Business Now.
Thursday, the 25th of January, and a warm welcome to Business Now, everyone. I am Army J. Falorshaw. These are your business quick takes. Nigeria's Central Bank Governor Olayemi Cardoso says the country's headline inflation is expected to decline to 21.4% in 2024 due to the CBN's inflation targeting policy, which aims to rein in inflationary pressures. Speaking at the launch of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group Macroeconomic Outlook Report for 2024, Cardoso says inflation targeting will help the government in its battle against rising level of which hit 28.9% in December. In South Africa, headline inflation rate fell for a second straight month last month, giving the central bank food for thought ahead of its monetary policy decision that's expected to remain unchanged at a 2009 high later this week. A Pretoria-based Statistics South Africa said on Wednesday that the country's consumer price index rose 5.1% in December from a year earlier, compared with 5.5% the month before. That's the lowest level since August 2023. The median estate of a teen economist in a Bloomberg survey was 5.2%. And the latest data means that South Africa's inflation has moved closer to the 4.5% midpoint of the Reserve Bank's target band, where it prefers to anchor expectations, but is unlikely to persuade policymakers to cut rates. The Nigerian Bureau of Public Enterprises is currently carrying out transactions for the sale of 5 power plants under the National Integrated Power Project at a cost of about $1.15 billion. Although sources familiar with the development explained that the cost of a plant should exceed $5 billion based on the international benchmark, they disclosed that the BPE was planning to sell the facilities at a price that is little above $1.1 billion. The acting director general of BP, Ignatius Ayewo, says the transaction at an undisclosed price is ongoing and that it is not concluded. The Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms is proposing the use of unstructured supplementary service data, otherwise known as USSD, and other digital channels for the payment of taxes and levies across the federal, state, and local governments in Nigeria. The chairman of the committee, Taiwo Oyedele, disclosed that part of the proposals being sent to the government was to cancel many of the current taxes that have become burdensome to Nigerians, harmonize the few that are justifiable, and digitize the collection process with multiple channels, including the use of USSD codes to drive efficiency, reduce leakages, and promote accountability. Verdant Capital, a Pan-African investment bank, completed 18 transactions in 2023 and has received commendations from the Africa Global Funds Awards as the best independent advisory firm, Pan-African, and the best advisory firm to private equity. Last year, Verdant Capital further strengthened its Pan-African franchise, completing 5 transactions in South Africa, 2 in other Southern African Development Community or SADC countries, 8 in East Africa, and 3 in West Africa. 11 of the transactions were for private equity investor or portfolio companies of private equity. Well, coming up after the break, a U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken nudges Nigeria on capital flows for American businesses. More on that after the break.
This is 95.3 Business Now.
Welcome back, everyone. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken on Wednesday expressed hope of greater American investment in Nigeria, while asking the Nigerian government to reassure investors that they can repatriate their funds. On Tuesday, Anthony Blinken told journalists after a closed-door meeting with President Bola Tinubu in Abuja that American entrepreneurs and companies are eager to invest in Nigeria's economy, especially in the technology sector. Let's turn to Johnson Chukwu, investment professional and CEO of Carry Asset Management. Great to have you on the line this Thursday, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. So, from an investment professional perspective, what are the key takeaways for you from Blinken's visit and the message to Nigeria on economy and security?
I think the key takeaway is that Nigerian economy sees both investment opportunities, but then the conditions of the Nigerian economy are what will determine whether the investment will come or not. So in summary, what you could deduce from the comment made by Blinken is that there are still opportunities in the Nigerian economy. The world is still waiting to explore those opportunities. But we must make our own environment conducive enough to attract those investments. And that's why he said that American investors are willing to come to the country, but we must deal with the issue of FX repatriation. Related to the issue of FX repatriation is FX liquidity and other economic policy variables that we need to address to make to realize that the economy goes.
So Blinken also announced that the American companies are ready to invest in Nigeria, particularly in the tech space. What's your take on that?
Yeah, it was expected. You know, the American American tech industry is the most advanced globally, and that's why you have literally all the tech industry that are worth billions of dollars, all of American, most of them from America, of American origin. And we have the supporting skills. We have our own Silicon Valley around here. So American tech companies want those skills that we have locally. They also know that we have a huge population. We have a huge consumer market. Granted that our income level, per capita income is low. And I think for them, where tech operators do not require so much of infrastructure support. So they are wise enough to know that they can facilitate our infrastructure deficiency if the tech companies are the ones who are interested in coming here. I think, one, we have the skill set that will attract tech operators. Though we have weak infrastructure support, but the tech operators do not need so much of that to operate. And I think the first sector or first segment of investors that will come from US are likely going to be the tech operators. You are not likely going to see manufacturing companies coming from US. One, you don't have the power supply, you don't have the road infrastructure, you don't have the logistics support. But tech operators can actually rely on your broadband internet penetration, which we reasonably have a high level of broadband internet penetration to operate.
So what more would you like to see in ramping up Nigeria-US economic diplomacy?
Well, I think we need complementarity. And that will mean that the U.S. also, the Nigerian government also needs to push the U.S. to patronize Nigerian goods. There was an AGOA that is now, I think, has passed its life cycle. So the U.S. government, as it stands today, do not really import much from the country. So we need to make sure that our bilateral trade relationship with the U.S. is most beneficial, so it's not one-sided. So that's what is missing. U.S. is now a net exporter of crude, so they don't import our crude again. We need to ask ourselves, can we sell to the U.S.? And probably, at the minimum, ask for the U.S. company to outsource some of the services they outsource currently to Vietnam, to India, such as call center, because we speak the English language. So we have a common language relationship or a common language benefit. So the Nigerian government needs to also push the U.S. government to find other means of patronizing what is produced here so that it is not a one-directional trade relationship.
All right, Johnson Chukwu, licensed dealer and the CEO of Carry Asset Management. Thank you so much for your time. Do have a great day ahead, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So let's give you a brief of Wednesday's trading day. The bullish momentum in the domestic equities market grew stronger as investors continue to seek bargains in Dangote Cement, 6.49% there, Jitco 0.47%. We've got Boa Cement, 9.98%, Transcorp also a positive 4.51%, and Boa Foods with 5.59%. Consequently, the NGX main index advanced by a whooping 3.0% to a record high of 101,571.11 points. That's the highest point in the Nigerian history. So we'll quickly look at foreign exchange. The naira depreciated by 0.4% to 882 naira 24 kobo against the US dollar at the Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange Market. Well, that's your Thursday edition of the program. I am Aramide for Lauren Shaw. We thank you all for listening. It's bye for now.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM.